What's going on, Summoners? With Season 11's ranked season officially concluded, I'm here to welcome you to the preseason. My name is Nathan and I'll be your host, running you guys through the massive system changes for patch 11.23. And when I say massive, I mean ginormous. This is gonna be a brutal one for me, but hopefully you guys get all the information. While we will provide you with the updated tier list, expect them to change significantly in our next mid-patch update. Since this is such a big patch, our analysts are waiting on the mid-patch update to make the majority of the tier list changes. Hit the sub button so you don't miss out on the video, and let's begin with the rundown. We always have to talk about the most important changes first, the skins. This patch features Cafe Cuties Annie, Bard, Gwen, Sivir, Soraka, and Vladimir. As their name suggests, these are adorable skins, giving some notable characters in League charming service attire. Arcane, Jinx, and Caitlyn are also up on the PvE. These skins will be unlockable in the first couple of weeks, but know that you can easily unlock Jace and Vise right now by just playing a few games. Moving forward, let's go ahead and run through the changes to Summoner's Rift. There's a lot of system changes this patch, so buckle up because there's no doubt this is the League's new season. Two new dragons have been added. The first is Chemtech Drake. It provides bonus damage against enemies with more health than you, up to 5% per stack. The soul also grants players a brief second life after they die. As the terrain changes, 4 gas zones emerge across the jungle, and inside of them, players will be granted camouflage. However, control wards, Scryer's Bloom, and other revealing effects will allow opponents to see you. Second is Hextech Drake. For the bonus stats, it will reward the team that slays at 5% bonus attack speed and 5 ability haste for each stack. With its soul, attacks are granted chain lightning and a slow on a moderate cooldown. After the map transforms, you'll find hex gates across the map, allowing players to travel great distances. Hex gates will come in pairs. When you decide to use one, you enter a brief interruptible channel that sends you to the corresponding exit. While it's not nearly as menacing as the dragon, the Rift Scuttler has also been changed. The first one in particular, that is. Due to the large impact the first Rift Scuttler provides, Riot has decided to nerf the payout, making it less punishing for whoever's team isn't able to slay it. It now has 35% less health and also provides 80% reduced XP. To reflect this, the first Scuttler is also smaller. Jungle changes only touch the surface because this patch also introduces objective bounties on Summoner's Rift. When behind, you can now work with your teammates to take down specified neutral monsters or turrets to claim a modest reward. As teams fall further behind, the rewards will grow accordingly, up to a cap of 60%. That being said, here's a quick breakdown of the objective bounty rewards. Baron, Elder Dragon, and Rift Herald's base payout is 500 gold. Inner and base turrets are 400 gold, and outer turrets are 250 gold. Teams will receive 15-second warnings when these bounties are about to go live, and also when they will expire. However, teams that are trying to claim the bounty can extend the duration of them if they're in combat with the objective bounty. Before moving forward, let me say this: good work last season. You deserve a pat on the back whether or not you achieved your rank goals or not. Remember that even if you didn't hit them, it's difficult, and don't be too hard on yourself. Everyone else is competing against each other and trying just as hard to rank up. That said, stay positive, and we're still all out here trying to help you improve. If you want help, there's no better time than now to contact the coach over at ProGuides.com. With the major gameplay changes covered, let's talk about the items and the runes. Hopefully, these changes remedy the lack of itemization options certain champions had to deal with. So let's start with the new mythic items. First is Crown of the Shattered Queen. To summarize this item, it's an AP version of Immortal Shield Bow. It will grant a shield called Safeguard, similar to Malzahar's passive. While that shield is active, the user also gains 10 to 40 bonus AP, and the shield itself blocks 50% of damage taken for a second and a half. After avoiding damage for 40 seconds, you regain Safeguard. For players that found Zanyas to not be enough, you have another option now. It's even possible to build both, but both mages and AP champions that love diving into the enemy's backline will be able to take advantage of this new item. Evershroud is the other new item, and it's basically a tank champion's version of Imperial Mandate. I wouldn't be surprised if tank junglers or top laners end up building this in certain situations. Its passive effect is powerful, amplifying damage against an immobilized target. This makes it a great pickup for champions who carry games with their crowd control and utility. Immobilizing a champion or being immobilized will cause the target and nearby enemies to take increased damage for 5 seconds. Engaged supports like Leona now have the option to build a mythic item for more kill power. I am so scared of this one, I'm not gonna lie. Items that are already in the game have also been changed. Frostfire Gauntlet's slowing field now deals damage. A new effect, Snowbind, has been added, allowing the owner's attacks to create a slowing field that deals magic damage to the enemies in the area. Enemies that move across the area will also be slowed. More damage for tanks? Didn't we have an issue with this in the preseason? I don't know. Hopefully it's not as ridiculous as last time. Triple Chemtech has also had its damage increased by incorporating a stack system similar to Deadman's Plate. Moving and dealing damage grants stacks up to a cap of 100. At 100 stacks, your next basic attack deals magic damage to all nearby enemies, dealing 25% bonus damage against minions and 175% against jungle monsters. Tank junglers especially benefit from the increased clear speed with these changes. Moving on to legendary items, let's talk about a pair of mana items, Winter's Approach and Fimbulwinter. Like the other items that build out of Tear of the Goddess, this item includes a conversion bonus. 8% of your mana is added as bonus health. After maxing out the bonus mana, Winter's Approach item also transforms into Fimbulwinter. Fimbulwinter also provides a powerful passive effect. Immobilizing or slowing an enemy champion consumes 3% of your current mana and grants a shield for 3 seconds. If more than one enemy is nearby, the shield is increased by 80%. Tanks are getting plenty of love this patch, so be on the lookout. Assassins also received a new item this patch. Axiom Mark is a lethality item that refunds 25% of your ultimate's total cooldown when a champion that you've dealt damage to within 3 seconds dies. It's essentially a win more item that kind of allows you to have access to your ultimate at all times when ahead. Finally, there's Shadow Flame. Shadow Flame is an AP item designed to punish teams that rely on shields. The owner gains 10 to 20 bonus magic penetration against their target based on their health. The less current health, the more bonus penetration they gain. At 1000 or less health, you gain a maximum, and at 2500 or more health, you gain the minimum. Damage against targets that were recently shielded will provide the maximum bonus. To wrap up the items, there are plenty of legendary ones that received changes to make them more unique. Cosmic Drive no longer relies on other purchases. The stats have now been changed, but in return, it received a new passive effect to encourage new playstyles. After damaging an enemy with 3 separate attacks or abilities, you gain 30% movement speed decaying to 15% and 40 AP until leaving combat. Rather than a simple item with a ton of stats, Cosmic Drive is basically a way for you to build a Phase Rush keystone. This is in case you need a different one like Electrocute or Conqueror for some extra damage. You can still access some bonus mobility with this purchase. Horizon Focus received a small stat change, but more importantly, its effect is now triggered by slows. This includes Rally, so this item is certainly going to be seeing a lot more spotlight than before. Next is Demonic Embrace, which got a big adjustment to its numbers. Aside from extra base health and less AP, the burn damage was also reduced. In return, however, the item will now convert 2% of your bonus health into bonus ability power. Overall, this item is much more versatile and looks powerful on battle mages in particular. Seraph's Embrace has a new role now. The item no longer converts bonus mana into bonus AP, but instead into ability haste. You'll also heal for 40% of your mana spent, up to 25 to 50, plus 10% ability power per cast. With this change, Seraph's Embrace is now a spiritual successor of Rod of Ages, which makes sense since players use abilities 2 together all the time. Next is Force of Nature with an improved Clearer passive. Taking damage from enemy champions will now grant a stack of Steadfast up to a maximum of 6. Immobilizing effects will now grant an additional 2 stacks. Once you're at 6 stacks, you take 20% reduced magic damage and gain 10% extra movement speed. This is actually slightly less movement speed than before, but the 20% reduction in magic damage taken is a huge buff. Knight's Vow was changed as well. Personally, I think is objectively better, but feel free to disagree. Although it lost a little bit of base health regeneration, the passive received a creative change. After binding with an ally, you now eat 10% of the damage that they take. However, you also heal for 8% of the damage that your partner deals. Additionally, if the ally being protected has less than 30% HP, the damage reduction is increased to 20%. These tweaks make the item a lot more reliable, especially against burst-heavy teams. Also, tanks that build this item get something back from it. Finally, Abyssal Mask falls closer in line with what it used to be. Nearby enemies will have their MR reduced, and the owner gains 7 bonus MR for each enemy affected by it. Next, we have rune changes. Lethal Temple received a rework. Players gain a 6-second attack speed boost when striking at least one enemy champion, stacking up to 6 times. At max stacks, you increase your attack speed to a cap of 3.0. With the cooldown removed, it's a much more accessible rune, and things are a lot less complicated now. Next is Glacial Augment. It now creates 3 Glacial Rays after you immobilize an enemy champion. These will path towards you and other nearby champions, creating frozen zones that slow enemies by 40% and also reduce their damage by 15% to allies excluding yourself. The last rune change is the addition of a new keystone, First Strike. Hitting an enemy with an attack or ability before they do grants you 5 gold as well as First Strike for 3 seconds. With the First Strike buff, you deal 12% bonus damage against champions and gain 100% of that bonus damage as gold. For ranged champions, this is instead 70%. Champions that naturally scale incredibly can accelerate their economy with this keystone. It's basically Kleptomancy but rebranded. That covers the system changes, so let's quickly run through the champion tier list. Without many champion balance changes, let me reiterate that the majority of the tier list shifts will come with our update. First is the top lane. Tahm Kench has been broken for so many patches now, and with a new change to Frostfire Gauntlet, expect that to remain true. Other tanks like Malphite and Poppy certainly sound promising as well, and our analysts are definitely interested in seeing how they perform moving forward. That being said, expect the 3 top picks, Camille, Tahm Kench, and Teemo to remain relevant moving forward. There's no doubt that they're going to be solid picks in spite of what meta shifts are coming up. In the S tier, we feature Irelia, Mordekaiser, Nasus, Jax, Malphite, Shen, Mundo, Singe, Quinn, Aatrox, Poppy, Darius, and Fiora. Next is the jungle. The jungle is definitely a toss-up. With the changes to Turbo Chem Tank junglers now have a more reliable way to keep up with their competition. Picks our analysts suggest watching out for are Rammus and Skarner. They already lean towards purchasing Turbo Chem Tank to begin with, but with a faster clear speed and even some extra damage to work with, they're bound to pop off, especially in Skarner's case where he's dealing damage by spamming Q. I think there's a good chance that he pops off this patch. And I'm not personally one of our challenger analysts, but you know, Hecarim uses movement speed and spams Q too, so maybe he's gonna be really strong. An unexpected shift in the tier list is that Trundle is set up to the S tier. He's been doing decently well, but as players experiment with tanks this patch, Trundle's value as not only a jungler but as an overall champion increases. Whether or not tanks will be good is uncertain, but there's no doubt that they'll see more play this patch. At least for a single patch, Trundle is worth picking up. On the topic of tanks, let me ask you our question of the day. Do you prefer games where both teams have a tank or games where neither has one? Typically, I feel like tanks drag games out since they're really good at slowing down team fights. Since I'm a fan of faster games and speed bodes well with me, I prefer they're not in them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Wrapping up the jungle in our OP tier, we have Elise, Evelynn, and Graves, followed up by Fiddlesticks, Zac, Kindred, Kayn, Nocturne, Shinzao, Amumu, Lilia, Shaco, Talon, Lee Sin, Vi, Viego, Trundle, Rammus, and Skarner in the S tier. Next up is the mid lane. While there's plenty of uncertainty moving forward, 3 picks in particular stand out to our analysts. First are Ryze and Cassiopeia. With the changes to Seraph, they'll now benefit heavily from the healing with the ridiculous low cooldowns. Ryze has moved up to the C tier, and will leave Cassiopeia where she previously was at. Vladimir and Lissandra are up to the S tier as well. With the crown of the Shattered Queen, Lissandra gains access to durability to work with after her first purchase. The item fits her playstyle particularly well and allows her to aggressively make plays to get the game rolling. In Vladimir's case, the changes to Demonic Embrace certainly favor him, and he's gonna pop off this patch. In our OPs there, we have Zed, Vex, and Yasuo, followed up by Sylas, Talon, Annie, Diana, Ahri, Yone, LeBlanc, Kassadin, Anivia, Katarina, Fizz, Akshan, Lux, Vladimir, and Lissandra in the S tier. With no marksman item changes, we expect the current bottom lane tier list to remain relatively untouched. If anything, Misfortune will come out even stronger than before with an addition of Axiom Arc. Xayah players might also include it in their builds, but that still leaves their tier list pretty much the same as both of them are already ranked quite high. Whether you consider it good or bad news, there's only one big change this patch, and that's to lethal tempo. We'll leave our tier list untouched this patch since it's hard to gauge the strength of the keystone that we haven't really seen in action yet. We'll definitely keep our eyes on Kog'Maw and Jinx with the changes in mind. In the OP tier, we have Misfortune, Vayne, and Jhin, followed up by Ashe, Ezreal, Samara, Ziggs, Lucian, Karthus, Jinx, and Xayah. Finally, we'll conclude with the supports. Supports have a new mythic item, Evershroud. Although our analysts expect champions like Blitzcrank, Thresh, and Leona to be particularly powerful this patch, we'll also have to wait to see how this item really affects the bottom lane meta, but being able to be isolating targets and increasing the damage that they take is a game changer. Aside from making these sort of aggressive picks stronger than before, it may push certain champions out as a result of the increased kill pressure. The only support change that we'll be including in this patch is that Trundle is up to the B tier. Like we mentioned earlier, people will be experimenting heavily with tanks as a result of the item changes, and Trundle is always a good answer to them, especially if the enemy team only has one. In the OP tier, we have Blitzcrank, Amumu, and Nami, followed up by Thresh, Morgana, Maokai, Zyra, Yuumi, Lulu, Sona, Leona, Lux, and Soraka in the S tier. That said, we finally concluded the patch 11.23 rundown. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, if you read the description, there's a link to join our Discord. It'd be great to have you join our community. Best of luck with the preseason summoners, and I'll catch you guys on our next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.